Hey everyone, it's Ben Harder here, and in today's video comparing the Ford Explorer ST to the Dodge Durango RT, and we're going to see if a V8 is really better. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Ford and Provo and the Dodge and Provo for giving me some time with both of the vehicles. I'll include a link to their websites in the description down below. If you have any questions on the Ford, just ask for John Jenks. If you have any questions on the Dodges, just ask for Easton. Link to my car buying guide as well. Let's get into it. Powering the Durango is a 5.7-liter Hemi V8. It goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 14 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 360 horsepower and then 390 pound-feet of torque. Powering the Explorer is a turbo 3-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 400 horsepower and then 415 pound-feet of torque. Before I move forward with this comparison, I do want to mention if you're going to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, both of these are sporty versions of their respective vehicles. So the Durango with the RT package, you can see really aggressive front end with all of the openings. And look at that hood as well. So pretty aggressive looking. And then the Explorer with the ST package, again, same thing. It's the sporty version. So the grille's all blacked out. You got that big ST logo. Notice the Explorer does have fog lights, whereas the Durango does not. But yeah, I think both front ends look pretty cool, and it's cool with the contrast between the black and the white on them. Now with the Durango, our turning wheel setup is 265 by 50 by 20, whereas with the Explorer it is 275 by 45 by 21. So a little bit of a different setup with these two. Now the Explorer does have these red brake calipers. With this particular package on the Durango, they don't do anything fancy on that. Notice with the Durango, got this little fender flare, it's painted, whereas on the Explorer, see in the back and then here in the front, it's unpainted, so it's a little bit different. Blacked out mirror caps, as you can see. I mean, the Durango's kind of hard to tell because everything's blacked out on it. Anyways, here's a side profile with the Durango, and then here's a side profile with the Explorer. Now this leads us inside the Explorer. We've got quite a bit of storage space here in the rear. You'll notice that you've got these little kind of like cubbies on the side, which is very interesting. It's all connected once you lift that tab up. Anyways, with the third row, notice that I can raise and lower it via power. With the second row, it's not the case. You can only lower it down, which, yeah, it's fine. Anyways, with the third row down, you've got quite a bit of storage space. And then you'll notice that the third row passengers don't have a ton when it comes to amenities. I mean, they do have some cup holders and everything. And then space back here is going to be a little bit more cramped compared to the Durango in terms of the passenger side of things with the third row. So if you want a little bit more space, the Durango is going to be the route to go with that. But anyways, lower that back down. And speak of the Durango, well, back here you can see again with third row folded down, quite a bit of space. And not a lot of amenities, just like the Explorer here in the back, basically cup holders with that. And it's all manual, so that is another difference with the Durango. Like I said, a little bit more space there in the back. And, oh, I forgot, it's inside with these. So you just press that button, that'll lower that down. Now with the rest of the rear of the Explorer, I really like this new taillight design. It's kind of video game-esque, but it looks pretty cool. The Durango, on the other hand, it's had this back end for a long time. The Durango definitely needs a full redesign, but I think it's held up pretty well. Now this leads us into the rear of the Explorer, where we've got soft touch here at the top. You can see with the little sunshade, and then we've got more soft touch down below. Pretty cool setup. Seats are very sporty looking with all the red. The second row is definitely a lot more usable in the Explorer. And then you can see here with the little storage pocket. Got our own climate zone with the heated seats, charging ports as well. Got this nice little armrest here. And then headroom in the second row is also pretty darn good. And now popping to the back of the Durango, we've got soft touch all over the door panel just like the Explorer, and you actually have a bunch of red on the seats just like the Explorer, but full leather with the Durango, so a little bit different. Now the seat, you can adjust it back if you want a little bit, but overall the Explorer second row is just a little bit more spacious than the Durango, so it's funny. Durango better third row, Explorer better second row. Anyways, little storage pocket there. Got some vents here, heated seats as well, and then you can see with the cup holders down below, climate control stuff up top as well, and overall headroom's good. And this leads us to the front of the Explorer, where again you got soft touch all over the door panel. Feature wise, You got memory seats, you can see all the window controls, mirrors power fold in, they've got blind spot monitoring. Fancy front seat, there it says ST in it. I really like the design, I think they did a good job with that. Seats are power adjustable, of course. Getting in is pretty easy. Got a big digital gauge cluster here in the center. You have stuff like adaptive cruise control. We've got a bunch of other controls in the steering wheel, including our voice command controls, volume controls, paddle shifters here on the back of the steering wheel with this. And very sporty steering wheel in general with the perforated trim and the red stitching and all of that. And then when it comes to the camera system, it does have a 360, which is nice if you ask me. Now with this new Explorer, pretty much everything's built into the screen. So like the seat controls, for example, it does have heated and ventilated seats, but it's all built into the screen. The camera makes it look like there's a little bit more glare than there is, but there is definitely some glare on the screen. That is something to note. But yeah, even like hill descent control, like random stuff. I mean, seat controls have pretty much been screens for quite some time. Ooh, massaging seats too. That's pretty fancy. But yeah, it's definitely something that takes some time to get used to. But they do have a few physical buttons down below for like the volume, phone charging pad. You got this cool stitching below as well. And then you can see here with the storage dial shifter there for the 10-speed. And then the drive mode select is actually a physical button, which is cool. Some cup holders here, big center console. And then just a regular rear view mirror, and then we do have a big panoramic sunroof. And this leads us to the front of the Durango, where again, you got nice soft touch trim all over. See what the window controls, front tour automatic. Got memory seats, got blind spot monitoring. Again, fancy leather seats here with the Durango. All of the adjustments there on the side. Light controls right here as well. And then pop in. Pretty solid. Start her up. Ooh. Pretty fancy. So it's not a full digital gauge cluster like the Ford, but partially digital. Still has stuff like adaptive cruise control, still has paddle shifters. Kind of not as sporty steering wheel, but it's still perforated, so still has some sportiness to it. Now, something to note, this doesn't have a 360 camera. It's one of the big downsides of the Durango. But yeah, infotainment system, pretty easy to use. Notice that we have heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, just like the Explorer. No massaging seats though. But what this does have is way more physical controls. So you can see here for the radio, also for the climate as well. Let me kind of shade that with my hands so you can see that better. Drive mode select and everything too. So just a lot more physical stuff. Wireless phone charging pad. And then something that I think is cool is this actually has an all-wheel drive low. So if you're towing something and you're going up like a really steep grade, or just going up steep grade in general, right? Or, you know, reversing in your driveway. This is the biggest benefit of this, is if you have to reverse like a trailer up a hill, it helps out a lot to have a low range. But anyways, yeah, nice area. Got some soft touch here. And then we just have a regular sunroof up top. So when it comes to pricing, that one's about 61.5 and that one's about 62. So they're pretty close with pricing. Let's see which one performs best. Explorer ST. We'll set off on this first and then we'll do the Durango second. It's cool to see this new ST side beside with the Durango, because the Durango really hasn't been updated in such a long time. It's kind of interesting that Stellantis has taken their time with updating that one, because the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the new one, came out years ago now. Anyways, so actually setting off here in the Explorer, very sporty steering wheel. So one thing I think Ford does a good job with is their steering wheel ergonomics, if that makes sense. They've got really good grips on the back. And yeah, they just feel nice in your hands. They really do. Gosh, the torque is great. I'm sure some of that audio is piped in, but it sounds pretty cool. For a V6. Always gotta put that little caveat in there. Yeah, it's kind of like a, I know some of it's piped in, but it's got kind of like a deep rumble a little bit. Piped in deep rumble. That's nice. It really does have good torque. It's quite impressive. So summing things up with this Explorer ST. I think that, yeah, pretty cool looking exterior. Drives very sporty. Like it's a 3-row SUV, but the handling and the steering, it's got a much sportier feel. So we'll see how that compares to the Durango. So yeah, let's go pop in that. Let us set off in the Durango. Definitely sounds a heck of a lot better. And I don't think we got any piped in audio with this one. Doesn't sound like it, at least. Sounds like it's just NA V8 noises, which are the best kind. Now, right off the bat, it doesn't feel as sporty. It feels more, I mean, they're both unibody with independent suspension, but this feels more truck-like in a way. Very comfortable, though. I mean, the difference, like, the Explorer feels like a sports car. This feels like a muscle car. They're both SUVs, but hopefully you guys get the comparison there. And the seats in the Ford are a little bit softer, but these seats are comfortable enough. Not too shabby at all. Yeah, I really like that V8 noise. It's I don't know, something we don't get anymore, because everyone's gone for turbo V6s, turbo 4-cylinders even. So V8s are quite rare nowadays. So smooth. Yeah, so the Explorer definitely has more of a torque punch, right? And we're at over 4,000 feet here, so that also makes a difference. But despite the extra torque punch, this just, the power band just feels better. Just the linear nature of it. It's a lot more, it's a much more pleasant experience. Much more pleasant experience. Yeah, that sounds a whole lot better. Doesn't really feel slower though. I mean, I do have to kind of get into it more, right? The Ford, you can just ride the torque wave. This, you definitely got to rev it up. But I've never that's never been like a contention of mine. Like, my wife and I have a V8 Land Cruiser, and whenever I have to get into it, I'm like, oh my, I have to listen to an NA V8 as I accelerate. What a horrible day, right? So, not bad at all. Out of these two, I mean, the Explorer definitely is a little bit more modern, has a little bit more tech, more features for less money, so it's a better value. The Durango, though, it actually holds up pretty well. The benefit I see with the Durango is the V8 durability. The towing with the Durango is better. Having that low range and a little bit higher towing capacity. Let me know which one you'd go for, but I think these Durangos are kind of underrated. Again, a lot of people don't look at them because they're like old in the market nowadays, but I feel like old in today's world is actually a good thing because of how crazy technical a lot of these modern cars have gotten, and technical in a unreliable way.